Is it time to be concerned that the Seattle Kraken have not agreed to terms with Matty Beniers? That and more on today's episode of Locked Kraken.
You are Locked On Kraken, your daily podcast on the Seattle Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what do you say, Seattle hockey fans? Welcome to another episode of Locked On Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we bring you your favorite team every single day. My name is Erica L. Ayala. I am your host, your only ever host of Locked On Kraken, coming to you 5 days a week still, even though we're in the off season. I am a contributor over at CBS Sports, also the founder of Black Rosie Media, an accredited media company that not only covered Matty Beniers in the Beijing Olympics, but is headed to Paris 9 days out. It's wild. So no ice hockey in the Summer Olympics. Field hockey, but not ice hockey. So a little bit of a different pace, but I will be reporting and we will still be talking Kraken, Firebirds, and Mavericks while I'm away. I mentioned this, and I know the Locked On insiders know this, but we will have some episodes that are pre-recorded. Those are mostly on my travel days, but you can communicate with me as usual, and email works. Actually, I had someone send me an email and then they sent me something else. We'll talk about email, social media, all of the things. Before we get too deep into the weeds, we got a good conversation. Hoping it's a good conversation. Want to let you know today's episode of Locked On Kraken brought to you by our friends at Indeed. If you need to hire, then you need Indeed. And because you are a Locked On Kraken loyal listener, we have an opportunity for you to find the best candidate for the roles that you have available. And you can do that with a discount code Locked On. But again, we'll talk about that a little bit later on the show. Beniers' contract when? Listen, Ellie Tolvanen, we got a contract a contract signed. We talked about that already. Beniers, Sapala, and Tolvanen were extended qualifying offers before the July 1st deadline as we were getting ready for free agency and all that jazz. We've talked about all of that. But what we haven't talked about are the terms with Matty Beniers, because we don't have any terms. No more cap-friendly RIP, really great resource, and want to give stick taps to the other resources that are still up and running, including Puckpedia. So if you go to Puckpedia right now and you look at the full roster breakdown, you see that the Seattle Kraken is at roughly 53% of their allotted salary cap. And you can see this, how it breaks down per player, players that are UFAs, RFAs, and in what year. And so right now, if you look at the forward group, the only player who's a restricted free agent without any salary information is Matty Beniers. Now, the unrestricted free agents right now include Kyler Yamamoto and Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, but again, not expecting either one of those players to return. So yeah, the other UFA defenseman, but Justin Schultz, but again, not expecting him to return. Am I concerned? Not really. Although the longer that this stretches out, I feel like maybe the more concerned I am. Listen, I don't know in what world we don't get a deal done with Matty Beniers. Now, we've talked about the sophomore slump before. A lot of people have talked about that. I know we did that episode where we talked about Locked On, from the Locked On fantasy hockey perspective, how they were having a little bit of difficulty picking players who they would draft to their fantasy team. And although we didn't play that clip on Locked On Kraken, they did talk about Matty Beniers. And for them, it was the inconsistency. But again, that's from the eyes of fantasy hockey. That's not exactly how the team is going to play out, or the individual, I should say, is going to play out on the ice. And anyway, I think we understand, right, that was for the fantasy hockey league, not what we're saying about the players specifically. Because fantasy hockey leagues, obviously you're drafting players from multiple teams, and then you get to put your own team on the ice. The Seattle Kraken know who they have on their roster, and I do think that Matty Beniers can continue to be an impact player. Now, I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, but Curtis over at The Sound of Hockey, he had projected an 8-year contract at around 8 million AAV. But as we've also talked about on the podcast, that's off the table. The Seattle Kraken would have had to put that contract out before, I believe it was July 30th, right around that time, right around the free agency time, etc. And that did not happen. Another thing that Curtis wrote about, which was also talked about with the most recent Seattle Kraken signings, is that Ron Francis does not have a history of doing long signings. He even talked about that in his media availability, which we, again, have talked about here on the podcast. So we're beyond that. We're not going to get an 8-year contract. We do have 2 7-year contracts, for Brandon Montour as well as Chandler Stevenson. So, anywhere from 4 to 7 years, probably maybe in that 5 or 6, but probably, again, 4 to 7 years is probably what we're looking at. I'm thinking we're probably not going to get a long-term deal with Matty Beniers. In the article for Sound of Hockey, Curtis also talks about how there was a little bit of hesitation. We were in this very position last year with Vince Dunn, and they landed on 7.35 million AAV for what ended up being 4 years. Did the numbers from last year hurt Matty's case? Well, I can say this. They definitely didn't help. I think what quote unquote could be helping Matty Beniers is that nobody had a great year. But I want you to hear from Matty himself. And then I'm also going to take you to a clip that actually I just discovered on our partner King 5. Again, we're a part of that Tegna network. But let's hear from Matty B. I'll break down a little bit of what he said at exit interviews, and then a clip, it's about a minute or so, where, again, are we really that concerned? Is it not going to get done? No, it's really just about finagling what makes sense for Matty and, of course, what makes sense for the Seattle Kraken. Here's Matty Beniers in exit interviews.
No one's happy about where we are right now, which is a good thing because, we don't want to be here next year. So I think everyone's, getting a little break from hockey right now, and that's probably good. And then I think guys are going to get right back to work and come in with a little fire next year to not be here. Not necessarily a pin.
Hey, everyone. Sorry, we had some technical difficulties. So not going to be able to play the whole Beniers interview, but basically he talks at the end of that, and I'll make sure it's up on YouTube for you. Again, apologies for just having a little bit of technical difficulties at the moment and want to keep the show going. But he talks at the end of that video that I was playing. He talks about, making it clear that he likes being in Seattle. He wants to continue being in Seattle. And, I think that bodes well. But what also bodes well, I think, Kraken fans, is that Matty Beniers, after the qualifying offer, after that period of time where, again, if we were going to do an 8-year deal that has expired, so it's 7 or less that we're looking at, Matty Beniers has made public appearances with the Seattle Kraken, and in kind of a big way at the draft. So here is Matty Beniers talking to King 5 after selecting Berkeley Catton with the first round pick for the Seattle Kraken, 8th overall.
When connection is needed most, Cox is there to help. Bringing affordable internet to families in need, new tech to boys and girls clubs, and support to veterans. Whenever and wherever it matters most,
All right, Matty, what was it like for you up there making the announcement?
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty cool experience. Definitely a little bit of nerves went into it, but it was fun to meet Berkeley. Super excited for him, and fun to be here for the draft.
What do you think about a fellow centerman, so to speak, to be drafted by this team?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I think that centerman depth is so important, especially in the NHL. I mean, you see it in every team that's successful has really good centers, first, second, third, and fourth line. So I think I might be a little biased, but I think they're very important into a team. So it's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. One more question for you. Do you kind of miss the fact that you kind of didn't get to experience this whole draft thing back in the COVID days?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of both. It was, definitely something that's cool. Being able to see it now would have been awesome to have, but I was able to be home with my family and with my friends and be with, all of them right after. So it's a little give and take. You don't get to do the whole shebang, but you get to be with your family, and that's what really matters in this time.
Yeah, there were some positives for sure.
Yeah, there were some positives.
Hey, one last question for you. What do you think of the Sphere, man? Pretty cool effects in there.
Unreal. First time seeing it inside. I've seen pictures and videos from other people that have gone, but it's not like what it is in up close and personal. So it was so cool out there looking at everything.
Yeah.
So again, that came from King 5, part of our Tegna family here. And again, I don't like that we don't have this contract. I don't think that there is a world in which we won't see Matty Beniers sign with the Seattle Kraken. That being said, like I mentioned at the top of this segment, the longer this goes on, the more concerned I am. But I think that there are also a lot of things that we have to factor in here, including that maybe when two sides are on opposite sides of the street at the moment, there are all kinds of incremental ways to find, if not a middle ground, at least to find something that's going to work and get a deal done. So I guess, unfortunately, although I don't like it, we're going to have to wait and see. Is it going to be more than a 4-year deal than we saw with Vince Dunn? If that's what Matty wants, if I were the Seattle Kraken, I'd definitely be open to it. But again, as they say, the price must be right. Coming up next on Locked On Kraken, I said that there are a few different ways that you can reach out to me. And we had a fan, specifically a Firebirds fan, that did just that. And I just want to show you, I have a longer or a more detailed video that I'll put on social media in the coming days. But I'm just super grateful for all of you who listen, and especially those who reach out in special ways. So I want to give stick taps to that fan that reached out. And that also means, let's just say that my background after the Olympics is going to get an upgrade. That, and then we'll go over my pick for game of the month for the month of February, Black History Month. Let's go. All that and more coming up on Locked On Kraken. Mentioned it at the top of the episode, but today, this episode of Locked On Kraken brought to you by our friends at Indeed. Now, we're driven for the search for better, like a better contract for Matty Beniers. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. And Indeed doesn't help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. And listeners of this show, here's that deal I talked about, will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/locked on. Just go to Indeed.com/LOCKEDON right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed from this podcast. Once again, that's Indeed.com/locked on. Terms and conditions apply. If you need to hire, you already know you need Indeed. Thanks as always for making Locked On Kraken a part of your daily destination. And you can check out some of our other Locked On shows. And if you want a little bit of a taste here, a taste there, maybe a flight, if you will, of Locked On podcast shows, then I would highly recommend Locked On Sports Today. Our 24/7 streaming channel gives you a little bit of a taste. We've got our best experts lined up in the queue for the first ever 24/7 sports YouTube network. We're really excited that it could be us, and just means more really cool things that we can do in the future. But if you want to find all the news that you need, Locked On Sports Today podcast and the Locked On Sports Today YouTube page are where you need to go. But of course, if you want Kraken information, you're in the right place. Locked On Kraken with me, your host, Erica L. Ayala. And I want to hold on, those on YouTube. I gotta lean down. And for those who watch on audio, again, I'll try to ASMR. Is that the right acronym? I'll try to ASMR this for you. But if you can hear this, it's a rumbling because I have a box of goodies that came from California. Now, I was in California last week, and I got back from California and I received a box. Someone was like, I think your box is with child. It was, busting at the seams, a little bit of a pooch belly. And I had someone reach out to the Locked On Kraken Gmail account, lockedonkraken@gmail.com, reaching out saying, hey, I am a Firebirds fan, love your coverage of the team, and we have some extra stuff, would you want some of it? And I mean, first of all, I know that I've gotten dinged in the comments before. I'm also redecorating. This will look different on the other side of the Olympics. Anyway, I got dinged a few times for my background not having any Kraken stuff. We've been able to fix that. The Beniers poster is actually not up right now, but I've got some Kraken stuff. There we go. The flag over there on this side. I've got the buoy magnet. Actually, the Firebirds magnet that came in this box is up there too, but it looked like it fell down. I got to fix that. Anyway, so I was like, yeah, sure, I'll take some swag. As I mentioned, a magnet came in there, and I didn't know what to expect, right? Well, I've got not one, not two, but 3 different bobbleheads, including, and these are going to be fun because the special guest that I have, a 2-part series, we actually talk about bobbleheads on that 2-parter. So I'm going to be matching our next special guest with a Joey Dax bobblehead. Love that image. There he goes. Mr. Intensity. Demea, if you will. Not only that, I have a Fuego. If you know me, you know number 22 is my number. It's actually up there, my placard, right above my head. I gotta move it. Anyway, so number 22, Fuego. Love this. But also the Disco Dan Bilesma ugly sweater jacket bobblehead. I love this. I haven't opened these yet. I'm going to wait. It'll be something fun to do when I get back from the Olympics. But it's not just that. I got sent not one, but 2 different hats. Where's the other one? So this one, I think I already put it to the side because I'm planning to take that one, the visor for sure. As a former softball player, I definitely have worn a visor or 2 in my day. Well, I don't know where the visor is right now, but it's the Coachella Valley visor, black visor with the pink logo for breast cancer awareness. This one has a little bit of a cameo feel or look design. It's black, so I'm not sure if it's going to pick up on the camera. And of course, if you're watching on or if you're listening, then you can't really see anyway, but it's subtle, but it's got a little camouflage design to it with the Firebirds logo. But that's not all. 3 bobbleheads, a magnet, 2 different hats, 2 different rally towels. Okay. En Fuego. Love this one. This one you're going to see prominently featured. I love the material. I'm also a Verizon customer, so that helps. I love this one. It's nice and thick. Love it. This one, these are the specialty items, right? This is, look at that. Look at that. Western Conference champions. You've got the team on there, Drieger in the center. This one's good, but you got to be careful because sometimes these crack a little when they have the photo. Speaking of photos, I have a bunch of photos, including some from some guys that are no longer with the organization. We've talked about Marion, Max McCormick, the captain, El Capitan, and they're cool. These cards, they have Firebirds logo and, how you can get your tickets and the like. Then speaking of photos, I have these are posters. So one is a team photo from this most recent Firebirds team. The other one is like, that's the one that's at the top. Hold on. So I have to lay these flat. I just got this in the mail yesterday, but you can see it's kind of like these little banners, pennants kind of with each of the, so it's an interesting way to do the roster. I love that. And then the team photo, love it. Very cool. This is a special team right here, a special group. And for a lot of reasons, not going to be quite the same in the Valley, but we're excited for the Kraken organization overall. But that's not it. 3 bobbleheads, 2 hats, several postcards, 2 rally towels, 2 posters. Then this looks like a special for breast cancer awareness. It's got the purple, hockey fights cancer. I haven't opened this yet, as you can tell or hear that plastic. So it's still in plastic. I'm waiting to open this one. I might just pack this in the plastic and take it to France with me. Although I'm pretty sure my hotel has air conditioning, but they don't really do AC in Europe. I'm a little concerned about that. So I don't know how cold I'm going to get, but it's nice to have the comforts of home when you're not home. So I can't wait to open this one. I'll let you know when I do. Oh, but wait, there's more. And I haven't opened this yet. You can hear it. But I am very into supporters scarves. This comes from my day as a fan. And I'm all about the supporters scarf. We've got the horizontal lines here. 23-24 season ticket member with the alternate palm tree logo on one side and the Firebird, aka Phoenix logo on the other. I'm just going to wear this for the rest of the episode. I'm so grateful that y'all indulge me as I just have fun talking about hockey, at times learning about hockey, and commiserating about hockey. It's a really good time. And that someone felt compelled to reach out is always beautiful. I love that. But also to send this stuff along, I mean, I'm super excited. I can't wait to check some of this out. And honestly, it might be a little bit too much swag for me alone. So we might have to find ways to, I might have to find ways to pay it forward. So I'm so grateful. I also am super into cards and postcards. And so the California Republic, thank you so much. I was just in California. Hello from Palm Desert, California scene postcards. I love this. Flag of the state of California. I'm reading the back as I'm holding this up. I'm just going to read a part of this. Thanks for sharing your insights on hockey. I have liked learning more on how to evaluate players and teams. Have a great summer. I hope not only to this special listener, but to all of the listeners, I hope you have a great summer too. And I think it's going to be a great summer to plan how you're going to watch your favorite team. Now, we're going to talk about the Firebird schedule, especially. I probably should have done the unboxing, so to speak, on that episode, but we're going to talk about the Firebird schedule later in the week, but we're going to keep it trucking along, and I'm going to give you my game of the month for the month of February for the Seattle Kraken. I'll also let you know how many playoff teams they're playing, how many home games, how many away games, all that coming up on this episode of Locked On Kraken. Hey, what do you say, Seattle hockey fans? We're here, third segment. And as you can see, I'm getting used to my new scarf. This is very swanky. It's a little cool in here today. I got the AC up high here. It was super hot yesterday, so I raised it, which I don't normally do. But now I've got a nice scarf to keep me warm. So no problems here. Thanks as always for making Locked On Kraken a part of your daily destination. Only 5-day-a-week podcast dedicated to the Seattle Kraken. And stick taps to producer Seth Tupel helping us out. Is on vacation at the moment, experiencing just a break. I love that for you, Seth. And we're going to see more regularly stuff, not just on YouTube with YouTube Shorts, but we're going to, once Seth gets back and we get through, for me, the Olympics, we're going to do that more consistently on social media. So let me know, question of the day, what social media platform do you use the most? Let me know. And for those who also follow Black Rosie Media, you know I've also started a Slack community. And I want you to make sure you check out Black Rosie Media and the Slack community in particular, because not only will I be giving my most direct and consistent updates on the Paris Olympics on Slack, but there's also going to be a special newsletter that you'll have an opportunity to subscribe to. So follow Black Rosie Media. And if you want to know what I'm doing in Paris, I've got some cool things lined up. BMX, these are just some of the events or teams of Team USA that I'm talking to. So Team USA Cycling, USA Basketball, USA Soccer, US Soccer Federation, I should say, hoping to make some gymnastics events, breaking. I have an interview with a member of the breaking team from the Team USA Summit that we're going to have over there. So yeah, check that out. But I'm okay. Enough about that. Let's get back to the task at hand. I do want to get into the schedule, but before we do that, I want to go to Mike Varell, who is a columnist over at the Seattle Times, and wrote an article with the headline, "Why the Kraken Must Add More Offense Despite Wave-Making Moves." And this encapsulates what I was saying with Gil Martin on the Monday episode, not just of Locked On Kraken, I played that segment, but also Locked On NHL. It really speaks to how I felt about these signings. Are they better? Have they made the Seattle Kraken on paper better? Absolutely, yes. What is also true is that it's likely not enough. And this is what Mike wrote. The good news, the Kraken made 2 moves to immediately improve, he says on Monday. This was written, obviously, for the first day of free agency. The bad news, that's not enough. I mean, I don't know if do you even need to read the rest of the article? Exactly. It's not enough. It's not enough. And again, the numbers are not favoring Matty Beniers in the immediate kind of like, show me now, quick returns. And again, on paper, looking at a shorter, a more shallow historical context for Beniers, and then a not great sophomore slump, which again, if you listened to yesterday's episode, you heard the interview with Dave Haxtell. He said he wasn't surprised, and I'm kind of with him. Did I expect the team to play the way it did? No. So Matty Beniers not quite finding his stride. That was tough. He talked about, of course, he's going to practice on his shot in the offseason, but he also talked about just having a mentality. He talked about, and again, that clip got a little corrupted, so apologies for that, but I'll make sure it's up on YouTube. But in his exit interviews, he talks about the mental side of the game, how that's important, and how streaks are so important. He talks about how he believes in momentum, unlike our former head coach. At least he believes momentum can carry. Matty Beniers, that is, believes that momentum can carry from game to game. And I tend to agree with him. So Matty Beniers is a key to the future of the Seattle Kraken. And just like I say with Andre Burakovsky, he can't be the only thing. And so right now, have the Seattle Kraken done enough? I'm leaning towards no. But either way, we're going to see them in action. Here's the schedule. This is the full schedule that I have pulled up for you. So we talked about the January games. You can see February is a little light, but got some stuff going on there, including All-Star break. And so February starts with 3 home games and then 4 spaced out games on the road. They're going to be playing Calgary, Detroit, and Toronto. Then you get Calgary again on the road, that break there, and then get Florida on the other side of the All-Star break, Tampa Bay and St. Louis. So for me, and this is key, for me, the All-Star break, really after the Winter Classic, we started to see was it a book or a poem? I know it's definitely a Roots song. Anyway, things fall apart. It's a cultural reference in literature and art. I want to say like performance. Anyway, things fell apart after Winter Classic. There were remnants of that earlier, but they absolutely fell apart after Winter Classic. And then things were almost unrecognizable by the time we got to All-Star break. So for me, all of February is huge. And if I had to pick one game, which is something that I imposed on myself. This is what we've been doing in this segment when I go over the schedule. For February 2025, I think I'm also going with Florida. And this is because, listen, every time you play whomever won the Stanley Cup the year before, now, does it matter? It like literally it matters because the roster is different. And we've got Brandon Montour now. The Panthers don't. It almost doesn't matter for the narrative part how much the team has changed, at least not for us. What we do know is even if Florida did not win the Stanley Cup, they did. They were in the Stanley Cup finals 2 seasons in a row. That shows me grit. That shows me continuity. That shows me cohesion. And that is something that the Seattle Kraken want to attain. So regardless of if Florida had lost, I don't even care. The point is that Paul Maurice and his staff, his team, have figured out a way to get consistency at the ultimate level. The Seattle Kraken are still struggling to not only be consistent in one regular season, but to batch together 2 good seasons. So, yeah, when we play Florida, I'm probably taking that as my game of the month every single time. Game of the week, obviously game of the day. But yeah, you want to be able to see how your team is going to measure up against teams that are by and far ahead of them when it comes to being battle tested. That's why it was so exciting to see us take down Colorado, to have success against them, to go toe-to-toe with Dallas. Those things matter. And I think to Matty Beniers' point regarding momentum and confidence, he talked about confidence. I don't like saying confidence, but he mentioned it, so I'll talk about it. It goes a long way in that as well. So that's our show, folks. Thank you so much. I don't want to share the name of whomever sent this to me just because, I know we did an email exchange, but quite honestly, I don't remember because I do always try to ask for permission. But anyway, you know who you are. I'm so grateful, and I know who you are. I know who you are. I know how to contact you. I will give a more formal thank you. But yes, thank you so much. I love these. I'm enjoying them. And hopefully, as I said, I will find a way to pay it forward. And I think this fan and some other Firebirds fans, I really think you're going to like our 2-parter going into next week, as I will be traveling to the UK first and then to Europe, to France. So I think you're going to enjoy that. I really do. And again, you'll see some bobbleheads in action compared to the ones that I have in the box. Be kind to yourselves. Be kind to one another. Spread love, spread light, and forgive yourself and be patient with yourself for the moments where you fall a little short of that. Hold fast. Stay true and loud and proud. We say always, let's go Kraken. I'll catch you on the next episode. Peace out, everybody. Bye. Let's get a Matty Beniers contract. Peace out, everybody. Bye. And come on, Ronnie. Let's get that Beniers contract already.